Hey everyone, welcome to Gas Under Pressure, where we've got our Model 16 out here in a lot different state than we probably saw it the last time. So what I did, well, we last had that little bonus footage clip, which was just a short one of it actually running, and so that was pretty exciting. And then once it actually start to run like that, and I didn't have to disassemble anything, I was like going, well, how about I disassemble everything? And that's kind of what I did. Well, I mean, at least I didn't have to disassemble anything in the tank, which made me really super happy. So what I did is I took all this off, and it really is 1, 2, 3, 4 screws here, 4 screws here, 2 on the top, and the whole thing comes completely apart. So 10 screws and you have complete access to pretty much everything on here. And then just probably another 6, no, maybe not even, yeah, another 6, and the whole thing completely disassembles. But I took it apart and get a chance to look inside here, and you can see that there's a lot of paint that's missing. I blew this off with the air wand, and a lot of that paint came off. So I think what I may have to end up doing here is do some repaint on at least on the inside. I don't think I want to mess with the outside. We'll leave it as it is, but this could actually get worse because it's almost completely unprotected. But at any rate, that's kind of where we are now. There is a little air adjustment here. It's bent down just a bit so it gets the right amount of air. The different heater that I had, not the Model 16, but the Model 19 kerosene, which is sitting behind me here, had a similar kind of a setup here, but it had a hole in it. And so the hole was designed to go over the intake and restrict it to the right amount. And I found that someone had bent it back, giving it too much air, and it didn't run right. So when I bent it back flat, it ran nice like it's supposed to. But this one doesn't have any hole, and it seems to be burning really nice. So I'm not gonna fix it until it's broke. But what we are gonna do is we are gonna put this back together, get the radiance in it, and of course on this, what does it say? 93 in the shop right now. We're gonna be running a heater because we're quite possibly mental. Anyway, so I'm gonna try to get this thing reassembled here, and I probably could stand to clean some of these parts a little bit. It looks like someone tried to apply some wax, which got underneath here a little bit, but we're not going to really worry about that too much. It's the patina is what the patina is, and we're not going to really fuss about that too much. So it's just a matter of kind of slapping this all back together. So what I did do is that I went ahead and I get this in here real quick. I need to slide it a little. There we go. What I did do is that I went ahead and I did polish off this aluminum here. Now, it's not really as great as I'd want it to be. It's kind of pitted. I did get the dirt off of it, and so it does have a shine on it now where it really didn't before. But the thing about polishing aluminum is that you have to know that there is a protective layer of pure aluminum that sits on the outside of most aluminum. Pure aluminum does not oxidize. You can polish it to the point to where you get past that outer layer, and then you get into the aluminum sheet itself, which is not a pure aluminum alloy. I could go into more detail on that, but suffice to say, all aluminum is clad with a pure aluminum alloy, which does not oxidize. You buff it too much, and I think you start to see what's happening here is that someone may have buffed this too much because it was easy to access, and they went through that. So we have a little bit of a problem with that, but that was not the case on here. And so I very carefully did this not to buff it too much, but you can see we've got a really, really nice like mirror shine on here where before we didn't. And this is just with Mother's aluminum and mag polish, and I used just one of the blue paper shop towels here. And I went with the grain of the metal because that's how you're always supposed to do it. So you always go with the grain of the metal, and then you go from there. So we're just gonna go ahead and slide all this right back in here. You can see how quickly this whole thing goes back together. It's really quite simple design. And then the the guard that's here is quite literally it just sits there. I mean, it doesn't attach to anything. It just sits there. It sits above the screw holes. So we're going to go ahead and put these pieces on. And then once we do that, we'll be able to slide it in a little bit and go from there. So all of these screws here are luckily all the same size. I know that on some of the different models out there, they use like varying sizes everywhere, and this one did not have that, so that's pretty great. So it makes this for quite a easy reassembly. And I think what I'm probably going to do is just kind of like just start these, so that way I can get my guard in here without too much trouble. Yeah, I'm really happy the way how this polished up. Looks great. I did a little bit on here, but again, it's one of those things where you're kind of trying to do the thing of how much rust do I want to remove, and then how much of like kind of a natural aged patina do I want to leave, because obviously this is not a brand new heater here, so we don't want to like clean it past because the rest of it, we're not restoring the rest of it. So I just wanted to get some of the stuff off of here that wasn't looking so great. So get that in there. That's feeling pretty good. Yeah, as you it gets surprisingly sturdy as you continue to screw it down. I mean, the aluminum in the back is really it's really quite thin. There's not much to it. It feels like, well, it's thicker than aluminum foil. I'm not gonna exaggerate that much, but it is pretty thin. But you also have to realize all these little holes right here on the top, that's for the radiance. It's for the support for the radiance, which holds them up. So it does have to actually perform a task where it holds the radiance in. But yeah, really nice to have something that goes together this easily. So this one I may have started a little bit weird, so we're going to back it until it hops and then bring it back in. That feels a lot better. Yeah, I usually will install screws by turning them backwards until I feel them drop into the threads, so I'm not trying to make new threads. And that's a good way of preserving the threads in anything, be it steel or plastic. Let's see, make sure we got this tight. We do. And crank that down. And we're just about done. I'm going to go ahead and put the radiance in now before I put the top on, because being able to see the hole up here makes it a lot easier to put them in. So grab these over here. So these are the number 16 radiance these are radiance for the number 16. They're not number 16. These are actually number R48 Ray Glow radiance, which are rare as hen's teeth. So when you break them, you basically cannot, or it's extremely hard to replace them. So I'm real careful with how they set up in here. And that's the other thing too, is that you may have an opportunity to buy one of these heaters, and this heater may not have the radiance in it. Be aware that if you can source the radiance, expect to spend about $25 a radiant, if you can find them. And the chances are you probably will have a tough time finding them, because I know that I have managed to find some, but one of them was because I knew a guy, and another one was just lucky happenstance. So yeah, that would be the thing. So the value of these heaters is almost all completely in the radiance, which is why you have me sitting here installing these things like they're the most precious and fragile thing on the planet, because they kind of are. So yeah, so that is it. I mean, you know, when I think about how much I paid for the heater, honestly, the radiance alone were worth what I paid. So so yeah, almost there, and I haven't chipped or broken one yet, so that's great. And the very last one. Which this whole process is just nerve-wracking. Okay, all right. Our precious radiants are in place. So we'll set this aside, and then we will put this back on. This has got a little bit of a defect in it. I've been contemplating if I'm gonna tap it out. I think I may give it a try just to see if I can make it a little flatter without damaging it, which if I can find my hammer in my pile of stuff. Here it is. Maybe we'll see what we can do here. This is why I don't mind having the movable vise, because you can do some stuff like this with it, which you normally wouldn't be able to do. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to close this down. This I may eventually end up sending to IPE to get the porcelain redone on it. But what happens with these, as I've been told, is that people have a tendency, when the heater's sitting here, they have a tendency to pick up underneath here, which bends the metal and then breaks the porcelain. So just flatten that out a little bit. It's going to knock off some of the other porcelain, but it's already knocked off, right? So there's not much you can do. At least it's a little bit flatter. Alrighty then. So reinstall the chimney on here, or the vent, I guess you would call it. And then we're going to be ready to fire. So in completely non-gas under pressure fashion, we are blazing along. But you know, who knows? Maybe we'll run into some kind of roadblock here, and we'll end up taking, you know, a zillion hours to do something simple, which it wouldn't be the first time it's happened. So here we go. Well, it's looking pretty good. Wish the bottom aluminum would have polished out a little bit better, but you know, considering it's from the 1930s, it's gonna have a little bit of wear on it, so I'm not entirely upset about that. All right, so final screw clamping down. Everything looks good. At this point, it's a matter of applying some pressure and then lighting. So I managed to also crank down on the I'm gonna turn this a little bit this way, on the packing nut for the instant light system. So we're going to be in the no leak zone as opposed to where we were leaking before. So that's good. Okay, that should be good. So the lighting procedure on this, the way that the generator is pointed, it goes this way. This will be actually the first thing that lights, and then it'll eventually light this auxiliary burner down here to keep the generator warm. So they say to open this until the stop, and then open this all the way, and then light the radiant and the sub burner. So that is what we're going to do. And that is it. So they say let that burn for a while until it heats everything up. So you got to get the sub burner to heat the generator to get away from this yellow flame that we're seeing, because it's burning a lot of gas. But it'll slowly start to change to blue, as it's doing right now. And once it turns to like this this blue here, looking pretty good. Smelling a bit like an old house, which is awesome. we're going to go ahead and open this all the way. And yeah, we get a little bit more yellow flame. Maybe I should have let the generator run a little bit longer, but it should settle down here in just a minute. As you can see, the yellow is subsiding as the generator gets hotter. Since that generator is really quite heavy, I mean, they're not like a lantern generator. It's very similar to this one. And so since they have quite a bit of weight to them, it takes a while for that generator to fully heat up and to be able to vaporize the gas properly. So this is throwing off a lot of nice heat. I'm going to go ahead and switch the lights off with my remote switch here. So see if we can see a little bit of red glow. Maybe not quite yet. I'm going to turn the other overhead lights off. And we're starting to see a bit of glow on it, but it's looking really nice. All of the burners are burning really well. All of the height of the flame is pretty much the same, and it's going to take a little bit of time for this to actually get everything heated up enough, but there is a fair bit of heat coming off it already, and things aren't even glowing red yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it, kind of running about as good as it'll run. You know, with the whole generator completely overhauled, everything else all cleaned out, the fuel air system working properly, everything polished up. Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty good. I mean, I could sit here and babble a little bit longer and wait for this thing to really get cooking and get red here, but with it being 95 in the shop right now, I'm not sure how much longer I really want to stick around with it. So at any rate, it's looking really good, and really happy with it. This is going to be excellent to have on the porch at night, and it'll be a really nice addition. And especially with it having, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the light back on so I'm not completely talking in the dark. This will be a really nice addition to have on the porch, mainly because the simplicity of the generator. Now, I have another heater, which is it is a Model 5, and we'll be looking at one of those here at some point in the future. But the Model 5 has got a safety generator in it, and that one only opens up once the generator is hot enough for it to actually generate gas properly. Problem with that is that it is adjusted at the factory, and nobody really knows how to adjust them once you've taken them apart. So if you've taken it apart, you've essentially ruined the generator, and you can no longer use the heater, which is a bit of a bummer. So, but with this one, you know, I can just run regular pump gas in here because I'm pretty sure it's going to have an appetite, and I won't hurt anything. So anyway, that is it. Yeah, this is really great. So thanks for sticking here, and this is a nice quick one, and at least to get to see the thing running.